So we've heard a lot about engage today, this word that we've been talking about. And now it's time for several of you, maybe this will be kind of like unveiling the surprise or the secret, if you will. Some of you obviously are already using Engage. We'll be able to hear more from some of the existing engaged customers in the panel that will follow this. So really these next two sections, if you will, they're kind of melded together. So with that being said, though, we may as well dive right in. Mike Blink is going to come back up. Katie Steele as well. She's our director of engagement. I think it's very accurate to say this is her baby. Something that she's really informed on and very involved too, if this is something that you are looking at or evaluating for adding for your upcoming enrollments. And then also Wes Steele as well. So I'll turn it over to you three.
Thank you, Katie. So we are right at about a year of experience with this Engage project that we're kind of rolling out and showing for the first time today. And you might be like me and that you may have wondered things like, why is it that your dentist's office that has 4 employees can text you when you have a dental appointment, but companies with 1,500 employees can't text people on their health plan? So as we look at, what is going on with Engage, when I first saw it, my instinct was this has the potential to be so powerful that it can really transform the way that we communicate with employees. And it's one of those deals where sometimes I've got to check myself and say, is this really as big of a deal as I think it is? And one thing that I'm excited about at Steele as we enter into the third quarter is we have not yet deployed this product for our own employees. And one of the things that we've got going on is the talent environment is competitive. We really need to keep the employees that we have. We need to have a certain type of employee culture and provide a certain type of employee experience for our team members to ensure that we are the best organization that we can be. And so, and part of that, I'm really excited as we enter into the third quarter, not for this product for you, but also for what it can mean for us as we deploy this to our own team members. And my wife to my right, Katie Steele, has really been working hard on this for the past 6, 8, 9 months. We have had weekly calls with Celerix that entire time. We've got, at this point in time, the Steele customer group is about 107 customers that makes up 90,000 employees. Right now, 12 of our current customers are using Engage. Of that, about six are newish, and we've got a small group that has been doing this and kind of working with us and making this product better as we get through kind of an early adoption phase here. And so Katie has been working hard to make this product better and better and better and better every single week together with Celerix. And so I know what I think this product can mean for us and for our company as we deploy it internally. But rather than trying to explain what it can mean for you, what I'm going to do is we met with Jessica Wasilk from Payroll, the HR director at Payrock Industries, payroll processor in Chicago. They've been an early adopter of the Engage program, and we did a session with Jessica earlier this week, and we put together a 6-minute video for you to let Jessica explain to you what Engage has meant for Payrock.
It looks so good and it's so professionally done that they think that there's a whole team behind me. And I'm like, yeah, that team is called Engage. That's my team. We would use packets, handwritten enrollment forms, and you would pretty much just, have them come sit in the office. And if they were remote, it was all done over the phone. So there was no way for them to go back to reference stuff. So you'd get a lot of questions afterwards of things you may have covered, and it's like you were pulling from them and they were pulling from you. So it wasn't as enjoyable. So now with all of our new hires, whether they're a new acquisition or a new employee, we have everything automated. They receive their email the first day welcoming them. They'll get an email the second day with their benefit enrollment options. So there is no, you need to learn this all between 10 and 10:30 when we're having our meeting, and then that's it. If you don't retain it, sorry. The system has become flawless. It reduces the room for error because you're no longer handwriting your enrollment forms. You're no longer, faxing them in. So there are no more missed emails. There is no one saying, hey, I didn't know that my enrollment period had expired, because the communication is nonstop and they never feel like they're not in the loop. There's no tasks that I've thrown at you guys that you haven't come out on top of and said, hey, this is how you do it. So I'm never questioning what I'm sending out or the quality of the products that I'm, communicating. And that, to be honest, that's that support and that team that I do need help with. And you guys are always there for me. And I appreciate that, because my world doesn't slow down, and I know yours doesn't either. So it just makes it a better experience for everybody else too. We have sent out surveys and such from MailChimp and had 36 people respond. And then I send it out from Engage and I have 138 responses. One of our executives had said, I always get so busy. And he said, but the one thing I love with the new way that you are communicating to the employees is that I do have that little nudge that I didn't have before. So it brings it back to the front of my list to make sure it's taken care of. And so it's absolutely helped our productivity because it makes us better. 1,000%. I've had my last 3 new hires reach out and they're like, I have never had such a great onboarding experience. One gentleman said he felt like he had joined a real company. And this was all based off of his Engage experience, the emails and the links. And for him to say, I finally feel like I'm part of a professional organization is huge. Open enrollment is just your added bonus. Once you start to dive into what you can do, you can set this up for life events, qualifying events. I have people that are aging out at 26 from their parents' insurance, and because of Engage, I can set it up to where when they do age off, they'll get an email automatically that, hey, you're eligible for benefits. You're now setting up these friendly reminders and these trigger events that you didn't have before. Engage is a support system for benefits and HR managers. And when you realize what you can do with it and you utilize it, you're constantly an asset to your employees and you don't even have to do anything. Well, I would ask them, what costs would you put on your employees and their experience, their overall experience? Do you want to take your organization to the next level? Do you want your employees to have a 10 out of 10 experience, or do you want to roll the dice and hope that, nobody misses something? And I can run a report at the drop of a dime to make sure that they've received it. I can check my enrollment status to see where I stand for open enrollment. So I have no employees that miss open enrollment. I have no new hires that didn't get the same experience as the other new hires. I have all of my employees getting consistent information, thorough information, and I can't put a price on their happiness and their feedback. I mean, as an HR professional, you don't want to make mistakes. You don't want, especially when you're playing with someone's livelihood. Like, they're putting their trust in me to make sure that their benefits are there, to make sure that their family is taken care of. Again, it all comes down to the experience for your employees, and the proof is in the feedback that I'm getting. I have employees that are like, this is hands down the best experience I've ever encountered. And I'm like, wow, like, that's powerful. And they're happy. And so that makes all the difference in the world.
She, like we said, is one of our early adopters of Engage. And so she's been working with us for about the past year, launching her Engage site. And it was really cool to actually have that conversation with her and see what a difference Engage has been able to make for her with her employee group and onboarding them. Their company actually does a lot of acquisitions throughout the year. So it's been really cool for her as she can automatically communicate to those large groups of people that are coming on an acquisition way. So I hope that you guys found that video to be as powerful and informative as I did when we had that conversation with her. But basically, I am here to talk to you now about the Engage product. I know that it's been alluded to a lot throughout the session today, but right now what we're going to do is actually walk you a little bit through the system so you can get an idea of what it looks like. We'll take some time for questions, and then we're going to launch into a panel so that you can actually hear from some of our current Engage users that we have here in the room with us today. So to start off, we have the Engage site up right now. This has been mentioned, but just to remind you, this communicates seamlessly with your Ben Select platform. So remember, Ben Select is where you're doing all of your benefit management right now. Everything that's in Ben Select gets communicated to Engage and back and forth. Okay, so this isn't an additional system that you're having to bring in and maintain information within Engage. It all lives there from Ben Select. Okay, so right now, Mike is actually pulling up what it would look like to create a message. So there's 4 different types of communications you can work with. The first one that we're going to look at is a message. Okay, so just like it sounds like, it's sending out an individual communication piece. Right now, what he's trying to show you is you have a couple options. You can see that envelope, and you can see what looks like a calendar. So scheduled means you're going to tell the message, I want this to go out tomorrow, and I want it to go out at 5 p.m. Okay. The other one is event driven, and event driven is really cool because you can actually pick when my employee gets hired, I want this to go out. When my employee has a life event of a child coming on, I want this message to go out. When my employee has a dependent age off the plan, I want this message to go out. So that's event driven. So there's 2 different types of communications you can set up. You probably have been getting a lot of text from me over the last week. Hopefully that was a welcome piece of communication, but this is how I was doing that through Engage. If you haven't been getting communication from me this week and you want to get a survey today, talk to me and I'll make sure that I get you added into our system. But basically what I did is I scheduled it. I said, I want this message to go out to my group at this time on this day. So if all goes well at 4 o'clock today, you'll all be getting your survey for user meeting. Cross your fingers, right? No, it's gonna work. But right now what Mike has done is he's navigated us into what the message looks like. So again, we're working with, did you do scheduled, Mike? I didn't see what you clicked. Scheduled, okay. So scheduled, so we're gonna choose the day and the time that we want this message to go out. If you'd like, you can add a description of what the message is gonna look like. So if you have multiple users in your system and you wanna make sure you explain like this, the purpose of this message is blank. You can do that with your description if you'd like to. Okay, so for me, coolest things about Engage. 1, you can text your employees, okay? For some of you, maybe you have that capability already, and that's great. Second thing that's great is audience creation. All right, and I know that if you do have a platform right now for texting, you might have some of the capabilities in terms of audience creation, but I doubt that you have the capabilities that you could get through Engage. Okay, so we're gonna look at audience creation right now. The third thing, so I don't lose my train of thought, is the automation through events driven, which we'll talk more about as we go on, but the ability to automatically have that messaging go out so you don't have to remember to do it each time something is occurring within your employee population. So right now, Mike is showing you what it looks like to create an audience. He has chosen to be able to filter based on job class. So within your system, you'll have job classes set up. Usually that's going to determine your eligibility. So if you only want a message to go out to your benefit eligible employees, you can select just those that are eligible. If you maybe want to send a message to people who aren't eligible for benefits, you could do that as well. If you want to pick just a particular job class, it looks like he picked full-time. Moving on, he went to the coverage section. So this to me is one of the most exciting things if you want to drill down and communicate with your employees based on their coverage. So for example, right now, he picked the medical plan. So within our case, we have 5 different medical plans. A lot of you might have some PPO plans as well as high deductible health plans. Some of you might be in a situation where you're really trying to educate your employees, like, hey, it's cool that you have our high PPO plan, but did you know that you're actually probably wasting a lot of money and you don't actually need this level of a PPO plan? In the long run, you'd actually save yourself money if you would look at some of these other plans we offer. You could target those employees who have elected that high plan and just give them that information and show them, you know, maybe your broker has provided you with some information on how much money they could be saving if they would just select a high deductible health plan or maybe a lower PPO plan. Another idea within coverage is to make sure that if your employees have elected a health plan where they can get an HSA, that they actually remembered to get the HSA plan as well and didn't skip that part of their enrollment process. So those are a couple of the features with an audience creation. I'm going to show you a little bit something more as we move on today too, with something I used with the audience feature for this session today. All right, right now, Mike is downloading the audience that he created. So it might be a little scary to think like, okay, I'm just clicking a couple buttons. How do I know that this is actually going to the people I want it to go to? He was able to click the download as button. And do you see this nice Excel file popped up? He can see exactly who's in that audience he created. So did he target the employees that he thought he was targeting? You can double check yourself, okay? You notice they're all red. That's because they're missing something. So right now, this case is set up to send out to personal email, work email, cell phones. I believe all of these people, I can't read it from this far away. I think they all say they're missing their cell phone number for these particular people we have in our case. Okay, he's giving me a head shake. So that's another nice feature is you can see if you're trying to send this message to these employees, some of you might have employees who don't have all of their contact information listed in your system, right? Maybe you're missing a cell phone number or you're missing a personal email. It will tell you that before you go to send the message. So you'll know that you're missing that piece of information and you can try to collect it ahead of time if you'd like to. So for example, prior to the meeting today, I went through and I found that for some of you, I actually had landlines instead of cell phone numbers. So I was able to go through and talk to your customer success managers and make sure I had what I needed so you could receive the text messages that you wanted to receive. All right, now we're going to go into a campaign. So we were just in a message. That would be an individual message that we would send out to you. A campaign is where you can actually combine multiple messages, or you could even add in surveys and quizzes if you want to. Okay, so for today, for a user meeting, I put together a campaign where you can see at the very top, Mike just scrolled by the survey section. So you're all going to receive a survey today. So that's housed within this campaign. As he scrolls down, you can see those are the messages that I set up. Okay, so hopefully you all received a message earlier in the week reminding you of which sessions you signed up for. Did you sign up for boot camp? Did you sign up for advanced life events? So you should have all received that message. And right now he's gone into that particular message, which is boot camp and day-to-day life events. And I want him to show you the audience for this. Can you click on that, Mike? If you go to audience on the left. So I just want to show you how I was able to target each of you individually. So within this case, what I did is I had lovely Lindsay Martin in the back created a couple custom fields for us for today's meeting, as well as a job class. So all of you are in our 2021 user meeting job class. And you all have 2 custom fields where we listed the sessions that you signed up for. So within the audience creation, I was able to select if you sign up for day-to-day life events and you sign up for boot camp, this is the message you get. So that's how you were able to receive that custom communication. At the end of the session today, you're going to receive a customized survey with the same background. So if you did switch your session today, I apologize. I'm not that good. I didn't go in and make sure that I had your exact session in there, but you'll get a survey today based on the sessions that you signed up for originally. All right, so as Mike scrolls through this message, again, this is one individual message. You can see that I filled out the text message section. So you all received a text. I could have also sent you an email, as you see as he scrolls down. And before he got to the text session, I could have also sent you a push notification if I had asked you to download the app. All right, so there's 3 different forms of communications that you can use: push notification, text, email. You can choose one. You could do all 3. You could do 2. A lot of our groups are using both the email as well as the text message for their communication pieces. That's what most of our groups have chosen to do so far. All right, so now we're back to the main campaign page. And again, a campaign is where I can combine multiple messages. I can add a survey, I can add a quiz. And Mike's gonna go into what the survey looks like. All right, so super easy to create a survey. You're basically gonna choose a date range. You guys will have a couple extra days to fill out your survey. If you don't get it done today, it'll still be active for a few extra days. You can see for this particular survey, my audience is 31 people, okay? And if I wanted to see exactly who's included in that, I could look. You can see those 31 people. If you look down just a little bit under my audience, everyone who signed up for boot camp and day-to-day life events is who I have here. So 31 of you, that was what you chose: boot camp and day-to-day life events, okay? So this is the survey that you will be receiving later today. So you can see adding the questions is really easy. Mike, if you'll click on the pencil. So you simply type in the question you want to ask. You can choose, do you want to make it yes or no? Do you want to make it multiple choice? Do you want to add free text? And then if it's multiple choice, you add your answers and you're done. It's that simple. So creating a survey like this takes me 5 to 10 minutes. Honestly, it takes a little bit longer to add the audience, but it's very user-friendly, very simple process. And then as he goes down throughout this survey, you're gonna see a landing page that you can customize if you choose to. And then an invitation. So the invitation is what you guys will see at 4 o'clock. You'll get a text message at 4. It's going to invite you to complete the survey, and then it will actually take you to that survey page. Okay. You can also choose to customize a thank you page if you'd like. And then at the bottom, we can set goals if we want to. So as a former educator, I like to see lots of A's. So full disclosure, I usually set my goals low so I get an A on my scorecard later. If you set your goals really high, sometimes you don't reach them. However, we had a group this year, and maybe they'll want to share this with you later, but we do have a group in this room that had over 90% engagement when they used Engage for open enrollment last year. So they could show that over 90% of their employees were reading the messages or clicking on the links. So within Engage, you can see, did they open the email? Or if you include a link, you can see, did they click the link? You're able to actually view that through Engage. So that was pretty powerful. They might choose to share that later. Okay, so we're back out to the main campaign page now. So again, you can see what I was able to do is sit down and put together all the communication that you guys would receive for user meeting, put it together, schedule it, and walk away. I'm done. I don't have to think about it again. I know that it's going to go out when it's scheduled to go out. I know that I've created my audiences that I wanted to create. And it's not a situation where I had to like get up this morning and think, okay, I've got to make sure that I, set my clock for 4 o'clock and get this email out or this survey out. It's just done. I can walk away and forget it. So really cool features within Engage. All right. What questions do you guys have? What has come up in your mind seeing this demonstration and hearing a little bit from one of our customers in the video. Anything that you want me to answer right now? Yes. Good question. Yes. So the question is there a character limit? The answer is yes. And Mike, can you go to that page? It's around 270, but I don't have the number memorized. It's a very good question. What does it say? Reese, do you know, is it 270? Does that sound right? Yeah. Yep, it's only for text. Yep. Yeah, and I think it's around 270, 280, thank you. So 280. And you want a character limit because if you go past 280 on a text, you guys have all gotten those before, you don't want to go past that on a text. Yep, what else? Can employees respond to text messages? Okay. That's a really good question. Yes, employees can respond to text messages. A few of you in the room did. Can anybody raise their hand if they responded to the text message? Yes. And did anybody receive a response from me? Hopefully someone in this room did. Nobody in this room did? Okay. So there is a way that your employees can text you back. And there is a way that you as the employer can respond back to your employee. And Mike, if you want to go and click on the message box on the left-hand, message inbox. So this is where I can see any of the messages that I received from you for user meeting. And it's also where I can go in and respond to those. Good question. What else? Yes. Say it again. Okay, good question. Can you attach a document like you can through an email? You cannot attach a document in the traditional sense that you're used to, like you do with email. There are ways that we can put in screenshots of documents, and we can also link out to like Google Drive or any other place that will house those documents. But in terms of like actually attaching it like you're used to with email, it doesn't have that capability. Good question. We do have workarounds.
One of the new features that's going to be coming out within the next 6 months or so is the ability to create a benefit statement / total compensation statement microsite and attach the link to that and engage. So you can send out full total compensation and benefits guide to your employees through this, but it's going to be via a link, not a document. So
Awesome.
It'll just take them to a microsite that's all that's on there. But that was one of the things that's coming soon.
Great. Okay, any other questions that we can answer right now? If not, we'll take a short break and then go to the Engage panel. Anything else you want me to answer first? Oh, there's one in the back.
With this upgrade.
Is there a cost? Yes, so there is an additional cost if you want to bring on Engage for your employees. So it is a $1 PEPM and a minimum of 500 employees that we would charge for. Good question. Yep. Anything else? Okay, let's take a short break. Katie, what time do you want to come back in?
3:05. That gives us about 10
3:05?
minutes.
Okay, 3:05 and we'll start the panel.
Great.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to get started with our last session for today. So for our last session today, we did invite two of our early Engage users to come and talk to all of you and have a panel discussion so that you can learn more from them about their experience with Engage. So I'm really fortunate today to be joined by Marlene Penner from Goshen Community Schools and Melissa Buckler from Clark Pleasant Community Schools. And I'm going to have them just briefly state their title, how long their organization's been with Steele, and how long they've been using Engage.
I'm Marlene Penner, and I work for Goshen Community Schools as the benefits specialist. I've been in that role for 5 years. When I came on board in my role, Goshen Schools had been using Steele for open enrollment, but when I came on, we were just implementing the Celerix platform for us to actually use it. And it was a huge undertaking, however, great. I mean, it simplified so many things. And then Engage, we've been using it for, I think, about 8 months, around that.
I am the benefits coordinator at Clark Pleasant. I've been with the corporation for about 4 years now. We have been with Steele, I was talking to Wes, since I think he said 2002. And we've been using Engage for about a year now.
Thank you. So I wanted to start by talking about what was life like before Engage. So before you had Engage, if you could discuss how you were communicating to your new hires, what was that process like? And if you also want to include, any other communication you're doing prior to Engage in terms of benefits. If you wanted to communicate to employees with a particular benefit, how did you do that?
So prior to Engage, when I had a dependent age out, I would have to send an email to the employees so that they knew that these benefits were changing or their child was aging out. We, on a yearly basis, have to send out our summary of benefits to our different plans. And we would have to compile by email groups. Okay, this is Plan C people. Let's update all of their email addresses in this email group, which is a huge undertaking. So that was a lot of work for sending out summary of benefits every year. Another aspect was open enrollment, email communications out to people, and we would just mass send out emails, not targeting anyone really. And then also, there was another piece that, yes, new hires, thank you, onboarding. I would literally send out an email to each new hire and then have to follow up if they hadn't done their enrollment yet through the email system.
Mine is pretty similar. Our onboarding was all manual. We had to remember who was new, what rate sheet they got, what different, things we offered to them. And we had to keep track of that. And there are some, to be honest, that did not receive that new hire email. Now we have that campaign set up where they receive an email welcoming them. They receive an email saying, hey, it's time to select your benefits. They have a 6-month email set up saying, hey, we just want to check in. How are things going? Do you have any questions? How's everything working for you? And then we also have a year set up in that same campaign, wishing them a happy 1-year anniversary. So it's more engaged. It's a better onboarding process. No one's getting missed. No one's coming to me saying, hey, I didn't know I only had 30 days. Can I still get benefits? Because that's our cutoff, is after 30 days after new hire. Our dependents, we would have to track that. I would use a spreadsheet, and every month I would go in and be like, okay, who do I need to contact this month to let them know, their dependent's going to fall off. They're not going to have coverage. Now it's automatically set up when that life event triggers, it automatically sends them their information, letting them know, giving them a heads up that this is what's about to happen with their benefit plan. And then open enrollment. Open enrollment was, like she said, it's just mass email after mass email. Everyone gets tired of seeing that. They ignore it. Our transportation department, our custodians don't really access their email. That was our hardest. We would have them saying, I had no clue about open enrollment. With the text message feature, they're all getting it. They all know. Sometimes we'll put in that text message, hey, go check your email, and it'll link to a Google Drive that I've created. And not only does it have open enrollment information in there, then they can see, oh, wait, I had a question about my dental or about this. And they have that resource that they didn't know they had from the beginning. So it's been really nice. It's streamlined a lot of processes and taking a lot of those missed opportunities out. Because when you are onboarding 100 people, there's some, you want to hurry up and get into the buildings because the teachers, the principals need them. And they just kind of get shuffled through and maybe not get that communication. And now we don't miss anybody.
That's great. And you guys both said something that we should probably clarify for the group. You said you were sending mass emails during open enrollment. So what about Engage? Like what has changed now with Engage? Why aren't you sending the mass emails to everyone?
With Engage, we're able to target the people, for example, who have not begun or have done an incomplete for their open enrollment versus just everyone getting it. And then us getting emails back from people saying, oh, I completed it. Did it not go through? And so now they don't get that email. They've done what they needed to do. And the group shrinks as we see the texts and emails go out.
Now, what was I gonna say? I think one of the other things, excuse me, not only those emails were very common about, oh no, did I not do it right? I thought I did complete it. And also it's those that maybe didn't have benefits before. You can target and introduce them again to the benefits if they're qualified. You don't have to be pulling reports and be like, do they qualify? Do they not? Who do I need to email? That takes a lot of that time that you spend running those reports, trying to figure out who gets what email. And I think employees find it a little more personal when they know you're speaking directly to them and it's not just a mass email like, this doesn't involve me. Well, yeah, this one does because it's specific to you and your position.
Absolutely. Thank you. So that is another feature within the audience creation is where you can target who has or has not completed enrollment yet. So it's pretty powerful during open enrollment time. So can both of you talk a little bit about when you started using Engage, what work was there on your end for implementation? And like, where do you think you're at with leveraging what you can do within Engage? Do you think, you've done what you can, or do you have other ideas for how you want to really use Engage going forward?
I could say from the beginning, when we first started with Engage, we had some issues with the texting piece. We just sent out a text message and people were like, is this real? Is this spam? Whatever. So we knew we had to do a little bit of work on our end to figure out, okay, make sure it says Goshen Community Schools, make sure that it's set up correctly. And we still get some people that say, hey, we got this message. Is this really from you? Because our IT department has drilled into their head, don't click on anything that, and so that piece we really had to figure out. And I'm still learning, like how to create audiences, my messages. Sometimes I do test stuff. So I think I'm just scratching the surface, and even just talking with people here I've made a list of other things that we can utilize Engage for. And one of the things that I know for myself is the more I use a system and the more I get into it, the easier it's going to be for me to utilize. And so one of the things is I want to make it a goal to like once a month set something new up in Engage. Even though that doesn't necessarily have to be done, you can set up your whole messages or those kinds of things, have them set up so it's automatically done. But for me, it helps to be in the system and creating new things.
Our implementation, I think, went amazing. Katie set up so many just demo and templates for us, and they have a variety of templates out there on their website too that you can go and pull, and you can just customize it to your school. And it just makes it so much easier. There are times I'll send Katie or Melissa an email and be like, hey, this is kind of what I want to do. Can you help me? And within that same week, Katie's like, it's out there. Go take a look at it. See if that works for you. Make any tweaks. It's not enabled yet, so you can change what you need. So it's been very easy as far as a systems implementation. It's not a lot of work. There is some getting to know it, of course, like with any system, but I think that good outweighs the time you would be spending doing it the other way. One of the pieces too, to use it we have a product that I haven't yet set up yet, but if you do a wellness exam once a year, you can send in your form and get a benefit amount back. So I can go out there, create that, target that group who has that, so they're not losing out on that benefit every year.
And I'm going to second that. Katie is a great support. If you have questions on how to do something, or she is awesome in supporting this platform or this system.
Thank you. That's nice. So tell us a little bit more then about the automation that you have within Engage now, because we talked, you alluded to that some with like how you were doing things before, but what do you have set up automated on your system right now?
So we have our whole open enrollment campaign set up. So it just takes it up. We set it all up at the beginning. We work out our dates, the communication pieces and everything. We have our dependents that are aging out set up. We have new hires set up with their campaign. We have any new hires that were previous employees set up, so they receive communication as well. I use it sometimes for payroll. If there is a payroll, like there was a holiday, so we send it out to the different ones saying, hey, it's a holiday. Remember, you're going to get your pay on this day instead of your regular Thursday. We also have used it for payroll because we have different payroll deduction schedules. Usually we have one that's a 21 and a 26. So then those, we lessen our phone calls of, hey, why didn't my deductions come out this time? We can get ahead of those phone calls saying, hey, just remember you're on this deduction schedule, so you're not going to see deductions taken out on this pay.
And our automation is similar. New hires, open enrollment, dependents aging out. Those are automated things that are set up. And then we obviously use it for other communications.
And so I know that you touched on this a little bit, Marlene, but just to make it clear, like in terms of audience creation, what are the custom audiences that you've been able to create? So I imagine before you were pulling a report and you were having to filter and copy emails and create the list that you talked about. So like in terms of custom audiences, what have you guys been able to leverage?
Oh my. So we've done it based on their pay schedule, their deduction schedule, if they're eligible, if they're not eligible, what position they're in, what job class they're in. Like we've done kind of a little bit of everything on how to target different employees just to make sure it has more of that personal feel.
And you can target benefit group. So if you just wanted to go out to the vision people, because they need to know about this new claim form. There was something else I thought about. Oh, location, right? I think that's an option. So like if you just wanted to go out to your elementary school people or just the high school group, you can target that. Anything that basically you have information in your system about as far as categories, you can target that audience.
So do you feel that Engage saves you time?
I think most definitely, like I've said, you don't have that time of running those reports and filtering and finding who needs what and just trying to figure out who's where, what is needed, what they're doing. The open enrollment piece just alone was worth it to us because it was such a mass undertaking. We have almost now 1,000 employees, and I'm the only one who does benefits. Trying to get 900 employees to get in there and get signed up for their benefits took a lot of emailing, a lot of checking. It was just astronomical. Like that time period of open enrollment was just insane. And now it's more streamlined and helps tremendously.
Yeah, I would second that. It definitely is a time saver. But more importantly, it's also a platform that you can communicate even more and efficiently.
Awesome. So Do you currently, I think I know the answer to this question, but do you have anyone else in your organization who's using Engage, or have you thought about utilizing it for communications other than just benefits? Because we've been talking a lot about benefits, but is there anyone else that might have access in the future, or any ideas you have to take it, outside of the benefits realm?
For us, our school district adopted another platform for communication that our communications department uses, both for parent-student communication and then also staff. And so we've done less in the Engage platform with general communication, but it certainly can be used for that. And we even explored that idea. And about the same time we were adopting Engage, communication and IT were developing this platform for the rest of the district, especially students, but then they knew that they wanted to do staff too. But we would definitely utilize it in that aspect for just general communication too, whether it be weather-related things like delays or for staff or upcoming schedule stuff or events. Definitely a platform that could be used for communication with that.
And we're kind of in the same realm there. We have another platform for that, but we've used it mainly for benefits and some payroll. But we also just had at the end of the school year, kind of a way to go. You completed the school year kind of function. So we use that to send out invites to all of our staff and to let them know when it was, where it was, things like that. And just a link, because you had to have this little ticket thing, so we could link that through the Google Doc. So we've also talked about using it, like you said, weather conditions. We have staff, even if it's a snow day, they are still supposed to report to work. So we can target those groups to let them know, because that's usually the question. They're calling their supervisor saying, hey, it's a snow day, the school's closed. I don't have to come in, do I? And it's like, well, yeah, you do. So it would save on those phone calls too.
So for the company in the audience that's thinking, this is cool, but I don't know if I want to pay for this, what insight would you share with that company that's thinking, this is great, but I don't know if we really want to pay for this extra service?
I think for me, it's a no-brainer to have this feature since it's tied to the Solarix platform, and you can use targeted audiences, and it's a time saver. Yeah, I think it's definitely a benefit worth adding to utilize.
I agree. When Melissa first mentioned that this was going to be rolling out soon, I went to my supervisors and begged them. I'm like, hey, you have, just sit in on the demo. I said, you got to think the amount of time, excuse me, this is saving me on sending communication pieces. Think of the other work I can be getting done. Think of the money actually we're going to be saving and actually using my salary that I'm getting paid to do things other than sending emails that anyone really can do. So I think it's a very worthwhile investment, not only to your employees, but to your department.
Awesome. Well, I am wondering if there's anything else that you feel like the audience should hear. Is there anything else that you feel like you definitely want to share with them? And after that, we're going to go to Q&A. But do you feel like there's anything that we've missed that people need to be aware of? I feel like we've covered it all. Okay, so with that being said, let's see what questions we have from the audience. Oh, okay, that works. question. So the question is, when you put the new hire into Ben Select or Celerix, do you still have to initiate the message going out, or does it just automatically send?
It automatically sends. It's amazing. You don't have to go in and be like, oh, wait, I gotta go click that button to send it. It realizes it's a live trigger and says, oh, here's a new hire. Let's start this campaign for this one. And you can even go back on, I don't know what it's really called, but it's the report or something. I don't know terms, sorry. But then you can see if they opened it, if they saw it, and the engagement you actually had with that employee as well.
Good question. What else? Are you sure? Okay, I'll repeat it. Really good question. So if you give access to other departments, do those other departments also have access to employees' benefits information? That's a great question. So we can, well, do you guys want to answer? Or do you want me to? You want me to? Okay. So we can set up the access so that they only can go into Engage. And within Engage, all that they can access is very basic information. What's their mobile phone number? What's their email address? Whether or not, they're receiving text and emails. So they can't access any sensitive information like socials, salaries. They do not have access to your entire Ben Select platform to see all that information that you have. That's a great question. What else?
I was just going to ask how far, if you wanted to set for open enrollment, could you set something out a year? Like, can you set it to run forever until you want to change it? Or does it have to be redone so often? I mean, I don't know if you can run it forever, but you can certainly set it out in a future date and have it go for, I don't know, years where it, continues. I don't know if you can leave it an open end date or not, but we can certainly, set future dated events. Like we could set our communication up right now for open enrollment time in October and it's good to go. So, yeah.
And the best part with that too, if at any time you need to go in, you can disable it, edit it, re-enable it, and it's still ready to go. Each year, you don't have to rebuild your open enrollment campaign. It's going to stay out there. So you can do a little few tweaks or whatever if your plan's changing or anything like that. And it's ready to go for you. Like, I think a lot of mine are set to end $29.99. So.
Yeah, so if it's a scheduled message, you can set it up at any time for the future. And if it's scheduled, you would just have to, reset it up for the following year, like with open enrollment. But with the automated messaging, the events based, I put mine out. I haven't gone that far. I go to like 2030 or whatever. But what else? You guys have great questions. Okay, good question. Is there a limit to the number of users you can have on the Engage platform? And I believe the answer is no, but Ruthie, yep, no, there's no limit. What else? Yes. That's a really good question. If my employer is considering Engage, what kind of timeline do you need? We can do things fairly quickly. Minimum would be a month, but that means you need to be ready to go. You need to be ready to implement it. You need to be ready to pre-communicate with your employees. You need to be ready to make decisions on what communication you want to send out. I would say like maybe 2 months is the ideal amount of time, but it's up to you. It's up to your personality and how you work with your employees. If you want to make sure all your ducks are in a row, like perfectly, you might need a little bit more time to implement than someone who's ready to send the email and run with it. Lindsay's gonna kill me for saying that. What else? Nothing? Yeah.
Just one other thing. What I like about when you set up your message or campaign, you can actually set the time of day too that it sends. I like to target mine sometimes like with open enrollment, the first few days, I want them in the morning when they're not quite at work yet or they're just getting ready. When it's kind of going through open enrollment, I like to do it in the evening when they're home and have more time to think about it, sit down, talk with their spouse or whomever that's going to be on the plan as well. So
That's a good point. Thank you. Anything else? How are we doing on time, Katie? Oh, we have plenty. Okay, we need more questions then. Oh, 3 minutes. That's not that much. Jeez. I was thinking, I thought we were up here for a while. Okay, one last question. Anybody? Anything else? Okay, I'll just jump off of what Melissa just mentioned. We do have one group that actually has shift workers. And so a cool thing we've been able to do for them is they have a custom field, first shift, second shift, third shift. So their first shift employees receive the message when they're awake and their third shift employees receive the message when they're awake, as opposed to everyone gets the message at 10 a.m. and I hope you're not sleeping. So if you're in a situation where you have any shift work, that is another cool feature. Okay, I don't see any more questions. Anything else? No? Okay, thank you so much for joining us today. So thank you very much.